Hello, how's everybody week going so far? I hope everybody's doing great because I know I am. Man, I got some great news. I got some great news. I got some great news. We've been going through it here lately about how the schools and stuff hadn't really been supporting what's been going on and stuff like that. But I got some great news the other day, and school officials had reached out to me, and they said they heard about my videos and stuff like that, and they saw in one video they were like, we saw that you said that if there were any schools in any other districts or whatever the case may be, to give me a shout out or have so I could come help them out with the schools and stuff like that, and they did. It took 3 years, but hey, it happened. So another some school officials called me and well, rather emailed me, and they were like, you know they had some issues with a couple schools at the grounds and stuff like that they needed to get done, and they kind of needed some help. Would I be up for a meeting um, next week so they can go over everything and stuff like that? I said sure, why not? So supposed to be meeting out there with them next week, and once we meet out there with them next week, if everything goes well, we'll be tackling some schools out there and in another state. I don't want to get a state up right now until everything get etched in stone. Once it get etched in stone, then I'll throw it out there. But it's a great feeling that to know that people can actually recognize what you do. Some people can blow past what you're actually doing and the agenda that you're trying to get to. It's just, like I said before, it's not about downplaying anybody. It's not about um, making anybody look bad. It's just that we have a problem and we need to solve it. That's it, and that's all. So I'm gonna go and I'm gonna take the meeting, and if everything goes well, I'll give you the location and what we plan to do with this school or whatever the case may be. And they said several. They said a couple of schools. So I'm taking it. It may be two. It may be more or less or whatever the case may be. But hey, they called and they were like, hey, can you come out here? Hey, we're gonna go on out there and see what it do. All right. So bottom line is the bottom line is I'm very, very excited about this opportunity. Um I the goal, well, I wouldn't say the goal, but the ideal of the objective was, to try to get, things right in my community because you've seen this how the schools look and stuff like that in my community and where I'm from, and they're real atrocious. And it was my goal to really get that together and help my community and where I'm from and this and that or however it may be. But sometimes, as a friend told me a while ago, they were like, sometimes it's not going to be your own community that's going to support what you're doing. You know what I mean? So, sometimes you may have to go far in order to get, the results. But as long as you're coming to a solution, as long as you still had the same agenda, it don't matter where you at in the world, as long as you're getting it done. So that was the goal to get my community together. But somebody reached out in another state and was like, "Hey, can you come down?" So hey, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna roll with it. I believe this is the path that God has set for me, and by this being the path God set for me, I have no choice but to walk down it. It hadn't been easy these 3 years, not by a long shot. It hasn't been easy at all, but I believe this is the path God is putting me down, and I have no choice but to walk it. Yeah, all right. So the goal is to if you've seen the title, it's all about getting the youth more back into the community setting. Okay. I've been doing, this for, as you all know, I've been doing this for 3 years now, and practically by myself, or several times I may have, a couple people, with me or whatever, but it's always hard to get youth in the community, to come out, to get involved in the community, and this and that, however it may be. We did some things with the schools, far as wise community service hours and stuff like that, but we did that a couple of times, and like I told you before, we had good turnouts, but I can't get the oh, excuse me. I can't get um the what I want to say, the officials to literally agree on what's going on and stuff like that. So I want to get the youth more involved in what's going on. So the agenda is they don't want to come out just to volunteer. They don't want to come out because I remember when I was coming up. They literally we literally, did things in the community. If we see somebody that need help, we gave them help. If we seen, we gave the proper respect. When we seen our elders, when we literally, walked into a house, it was literally first things first. Take your hat off and say, how are you doing? Acknowledge that, the elders were there. But it seems like nowadays it's not that. You know what I mean? It seems like it's a lot of entitlement. It seems like it's, you're supposed to do this for me. It seems like, you know, um, if, I shouldn't have to, do the work, just give it to me. No, that's not how it works. We have to get the kids more involved in the community setting. Okay. So this is my agenda, and I, pushed it out there before, but a lot of people say that, they're not, really with um how I, presented it or whatever. But let's just be honest. Let's just be honest. The kids nowadays are not trying to do too much of nothing that doesn't have a dollar sign attached to it. I mean, that's just what it is. Um, I reached out to several kids. I went to several organizations. I went to several schools. Went to several, um, nonprofit organizations, and we're literally trying to, come together to try to figure out a solution. But it seems like the only solution that comes with is we have to find a way to pay these kids to get involved in the schools. Now, if you've seen my videos, if you're new to the channel and you've seen my videos, the schools really need help. Some schools are great, some schools are mediocre, some schools are atrocious. So we're literally need to get the youth more back into the community. So what I'm trying to do is, and what I'm looking for is to get some answers or some advice on how we can literally raise money to get the kids more involved, to give them the motivation, to give them the incentive to want to come out and participate and help um, in the schools. One way that I'm gonna do it, and it will start in the next week or two. I know people, a lot of are really against it, but I don't see another way. I'm gonna start a Patreon. Um, Hope you all that are here will come over there, and the proceeds will help try to pay the youth, along with them getting community service hours. Because I know most schools you have to have a certain amount of community service hours to get things done and this and that or whatever. But if they're getting community service hours and if they're getting a little piece of change too, I think that, will literally help, with the kids coming out and stuff like that. So, for you, those of you on there, chime into the chat and give me a solution or give me some type of feedback of what do you think are some good um, tips on how to raise the money to get the kids out there, or what are some tips that you all think are good to get the kids back out there? Because I think me raising money for the Patreon, I tried to go through, certain officials. I tried to go through certain people to try to get funding. I even went through my wife looked one time about getting a grant to try to fund to get the kids to come out, but they wouldn't even look at it. You know what I mean? So there, I know there are certain type of grants out there, but if there are certain people trying to push an agenda and it's not aligning with what they want to do or how they doing it or how they want to go about doing it, they're not going to push it through. They're going to do something and try to give it to someone else. But the reason why that I'm trying to raise this money is because we see there's a problem. There's a serious problem. Um, Wherever school you go to, if the grass is maintained, there are no bushes out there. There are no flowers out there. There are no, the edging is horrible. Grass is left on top of the grass. The sidewalks are atrocious. I have a video coming out next week where the sidewalk is just so horrible that they couldn't even walk up and down the sidewalk to get to the school. They had to walk along the curb line to get to the school building. That's what I'm talking about. And we talked about, I talked to several principals about, coming up with some community service hours during the day. Hey, you can get maybe about 10 kids and they can go out there, pull some weeds and stuff like that during the course of the day. As long as they don't have testing or certain, important things they got to do during the day, you can grab about 10 kids and get them out there to pull some weeds or do some trimming or whatever the case may be to get the schools intact. That's what they're there for. Now, elementary school kids, nah, not necessarily. You know what I mean? Middle school kids, yeah. But high schools, yes, definitely. You can get them out there, to help, the schools out and stuff like that. I don't see what, the big issue will be about that. They said they don't want to rearrange anything. It would disturb in what they're doing, but you would rather have them come to a messy area, but don't want to do anything about it. Okay. So me coming up and oh, let me skip that. And me going to this meeting, that's the one thing I'm gonna throw out there. Any meetings that I take with certain schools or something like that, we have to throw in that the kids have to be involved. We have to get them back involved in community. I really don't want to do it if the kids can't be involved, because we're giving our time, we're giving, um, we have to get back to old school values. I mean, that's just what it is. Us getting back to old school values to try to instill this into our kids and to get them back more involved in helping out with the community and stuff like that. It seems like nobody wants to really work these days. It seems like everybody, is, on their own agenda. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with, being on your own agenda. It's just that, we literally have to, even if we were on our own agenda when we were coming up, we literally, still was active in the community and what the community around us what's going on. We were literally active in it. But it seems like they're not active in it. It's just, what can you do? You know what I mean? So whenever I do schools now, um, whether they want me to do it, well, if they want me to do it and we're coming to some type of an agreement, it's what can we do to get the kids involved? How we can raise money to try to get them involved. So, we can pay them, if they're out there, for maybe, 2 or 3 hours, maybe we give them, $40. Maybe we, give them $40, for the 3 hours they've been out there. I mean, we'll have to come to some type of term, not to say it will be $40, but whatever term it is, I believe them walking away with some money in their pocket, it will have a better motivation factor, knowing that sometime during the week they can make money to have lunch money. You know what I mean? They can have lunch money to do certain things, or whatever the case may be. They'll have money to, for the weekend to hang out with their friends. They will have money, to do what needs to be done. Because let's just make no mistake about it. When I helped out with a school one time and we were doing the bed work and stuff like that, and I was presenting this to one of the school, to one of the teachers at the school or whatever, and she didn't see what the problem was, and we were supposed to, get together about it. And I told her, I said, look over there. I said, look over there. Yes, they get in the community service side was, but how was that really helping them when he's pulling these weeds out the beds in pajama pants? When he's literally has crop tennis shoes on. I mean, well, how they wear the slides and stuff. He's really over there working in slides. That, that little girl over there, she's literally, working in slides as well. Nobody, actually told them, or no, she was like, no, they're, less fortunate, and this and that, or whatever the case may be. And I said, that's my point exactly. That's my point exactly. They don't want to feel less than because of this situation or the circumstances that they're in. They literally, want the same advantages as everybody else. So it was one, other little boy, um, and he he grew to be my buddy. He was boy is a character, but he had high spirits. He kept his spirits high. He literally was the laugh of the party. He was the true meaning of I gotta keep it laughing to keep from crying because he literally was out there, trying to help out. And he was like in what I want to say. I want to say maybe seventh grade. I want to say because we were at elementary school, and we were inviting all kids from high school, middle schools, or whatever to help out with this, elementary school. But he had to be about six. He had to be about seventh grade, I think it was. But as he was, he was, working and clowning around at the same time, to take the focus off of his appearance. I mean, his pants were too small. He had holes in his shoes. You know what I mean? And his shirt, wasn't the best. So he had to do what he had to do because you could tell that he felt a little uncomfortable, and he would literally lash out at certain kids. But when he got around other kids, he was, literally like the life of the party. Just to keep it, to try to keep his spirits high. And as we sat down, and me and him got to talking, on a one-on-one basis, and I told him, I said, you know what? I said, so, why are you, lashing out on certain kids, and why are you? He was like, it just, I'm tired of, feeling the way I feel sometimes. It's kind of embarrassing, coming in, into the school or whatever the case may be. And the school that he goes to, he has to wear uniforms too. So by him wearing the uniforms, it's his uniforms, be too small. He said, and he's trying to do whatever he can to try to help his mom out because his mom, she's a single mother and stuff like that. So I told him, I said, well, if you come back, we can try to figure something out where we can try to get you some money on the weekends or something like that, just to try to help you out, along the way and stuff like that. It may not be a lot, but we can give you something to try to pull this through to try to get it done. And he was like, he really appreciated it and stuff like that, and this and that, or whatever the case may be. So the teacher saw that, and she was like, you know what? I think you're right. So let's try to, present this to the, other officials and stuff like that. But they weren't trying to hear it. They were just like, you know what, we just gonna go ahead, and just see about the community service hours or try to get them here for free. But let's just be honest. I think the free thing had left with my generation. Um, I think the free thing left with my generation. We got out there and did things for free. That's why you see me get out there and do things, for free. But for this next generation, ain't nothing free with them. They're all about, it seems like they're all about self, how they can get the dollar and this and that or whatever. Now, with the parents will make them come out there and get them community service hours, but they wouldn't have to push them as hard if it was a dollar bill attached to it. You know what I mean? So that's my goal. That's my agenda is to keep them more involved, to keep them more engaged. And if we can keep them more involved, more engaged with a dollar sign behind it, you know what I mean? I think it'll be more effective with getting them, back into the community to be able to, get these, schools intact and keeping them up to par. Um, that's just my take on it, because them just sitting around playing video games and stuff like that ain't the solution to it. Not unless they making a profession out of it. If they making a profession out of video games and stuff like that, hey, so be it. You know what I mean? They're getting paid for it. They out the way. They ain't harming nobody. But the ones that are idle, doing it at their leisure, their brain is working, and by their brains are working, you already know. An idle mind is the devil's workshop. So that's just my take on it. That's just my preference. That's just how I look at it. And whenever you all feel like you come up with a solution of how we can raise money to be able to get this done, then hey, let's brainstorm. But my thing is to try to raise the money. I'm gonna start the Patreon, and once I start the Patreon, I hope you all come over, and if you all come over, the proceeds will help to pay kids to be able to be active in the community. It can pay for certain supplies to come over to help with the schools to get them done. Now I know what everybody's saying. Yeah, what about the county? The county is supposed to do that. Where's the money? What's going on? What's happening? I can't worry about that. I literally, I don't want to worry about that because the more that we worry about what they're doing, the more nothing's going to get done. Okay, everything will come to the light eventually. Everything will come to the light eventually, but we have to start somewhere. We're the people. We 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 make it run. Without us, won't nothing get done. So if we come together and be like, hey, we're going to put X, Y, and Z together. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. We start putting solutions together and start marching forward to get it done, to do this, to do that. They'll have no choice but to listen they'll have no choice but to see. They have no choice but to either rebel or get involved. All right. So what do you say? Hey buddy, you might check in with Drake Lock. It might only once a week for him. Oh, okay, yeah. I'll check into that. Thanks, Dion. I'll check into that. So yeah, but I'll check in. Yeah. So you said Drake's long care might be only once a week. Yeah, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll check into that. Um, yeah. So yeah, but that's the way that I'm looking at it. But it's just that we got to do something in order to get the kids more involved. Um, a lot of people, you know, are doing stuff for free, but it's my generation. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. It's my generation that's doing it for free. Yeah, and I know who you're talking about, and they're around my 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 generation, my age range. You know what I mean? So yes, there are some they come from that cloth, they come from that grit of doing things for free. But what I'm talking about is the next generation. They're not they're not doing that stuff for free. They're not getting out there. They're not taking initiative to want to better the community. They're not taking the initiative to want to help the elderly. They're not taking the initiative to want to. You have to literally force or make them go do it. They're not taking the initiative like we did when we were coming up. Okay, so yeah, so that's my take on it. But as I deal with more county officials, as I deal with you know more principals, more teachers, and stuff like that, that's going to be in my proposal. Um, if they want the service, we have to get the youth involved. That's within that school that I'm doing. That's just what it is. Okay, let's give them community service hours. Let's try to raise some money. Let's try to get a budget going in order to get the kids, more involved in beautifying their schools. Let's do this. Let's do that. Okay. Now, like I said before, we've run into issues where, the schools didn't want me to touch it, but I did it anyway because it needed to be done. Now, if you see a video from me and I'm by myself, 9 times out of 10, they didn't want me to do it. And if they didn't want me to do it, but I know that it needed to be done, I don't want to drag nobody really from the outside into that mess because of what happened previously, like with police and all of that stuff. It really, I don't want to bring nobody in that mess. If I decide to do it when they say no, then let that be on me. But I know it needs to be done, so I'm gonna go ahead and do it, whether they like it or not. Just it's not about them; it's about the kids. Okay, so yeah, so that's what I had. But if you listen to this, I'm very very excited that they called and it just lets me know that the work that I'm doing is not going unnoticed. Um, I'm gonna go down here with the meeting, and if once everything goes well, because I know it will, I know it will go well. Once everything goes well, I'll report back to y'all and tell y'all the details, the gist of it on the next Vent Hour, and we will, figure this out. And we have to get the kids more involved in the community. That's just what it is. You're having, they will have, well, I know in my neck of the woods, they will have a beautification day in the springtime. It's just one time out the year where they have a beautification day and they'll try to get people to come out for free and do all of this work, and the turnout is not good. But if you already have them in the schools and they already there, figure out a way where they can get extracurricular while they're in school during school hours and get it done. That's just what it is. I don't see what the problem is. As long as it's not interfering with their testing, as long as it's not interfering with their schoolwork, as long as it's not interfering with the important things, I don't see what the problem is with it. Okay? So I am excited. It lets me know that my work is not going unnoticed as far as wise with being in another state. I wanted to be in my state, and get it done. But like a friend told me, sometimes you got to go away from your surroundings in order to get them to notice actually what you're doing. And it seems like this is the way that God is pushing you to. And I'm gonna, roll with it, and we're gonna see what comes of it. Okay. So this is all I really had to say about the Vent Hour. If you all come up with any solutions, feel free to express them in the comments. I'll look at all comments because I believe all comments are good comments, whether they're good, bad, or whatever the case may be. I critique. Okay, I can take critique. I can take accountability. I can I do all of that. And self assessing is one of my strong suits. Okay, so if you all can, just leave a comment and just, I look at them even when I'm not online. I'll get, notifications that, and I read all of them. You know what I mean? And I try to take it into consideration and to get it done. Like some of you said, uh, 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 some of you said that join the PTA meetings and stuff like that. Yeah, I talk to certain, PTA members and stuff like that, but I think this is a little bit bigger, than PTA. I could be wrong. I think that this is a thing where I have to meet with certain people to get certain things done in the way that it needs to be done. Okay. I could be wrong. I mean, somebody can chime in and tell me if I'm right or wrong. Hey, what's up, Steven? Um, I I could be wrong on that. Okay, but if you have a solution, feel free to express. That's what the event now is all about. Okay, we give free expressions to come up with great solutions. And once I, meet with them next week, and I get the, okay and stuff like that, I'll tell you where I'll be at. I'll tell you, how it's going to go down and stuff like that. But it does feel good to know that the work is not going unnoticed. It does feel good to know that somebody is actually out there and they, really taking initiative to know about, what extreme school makeovers is all about. It's all about making everything better for the teachers, the staff, the community, the kids, everybody as a whole. Okay. The beautiful the outside look is the more beautiful the inside is going to be. Okay. That's all I have for today. But like I said, even though that it's it'll be offline. If you check this out in its entirety, if you missed the live, leave a comment below. Okay. But how can we literally raise money to get the kids more involved into community projects? Like I said, in the next 2 weeks, I'm gonna start a Patreon. I hope everybody can enjoy. I hope everybody tells their friends, family, or however it may be, how we can get them more involved because we have to attach a dollar sign with this new generation with community service hours in order to get the help that we need to now how much I don't know, maybe that's for a later date of how much we can give them or whatever, but this is what needs to be done. Okay, the more they're involved in the community, the less they're out here on the streets. Okay, and we have to make no mistake about it. We have to listen to what they have to say. Okay, everybody says they don't say anything. They don't talk. They don't da 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 da. I understand it. I got two boys, and I love them dearly. But you have to listen. We just have to. We're so quick as parents to want to yell, and I'm one. I'm guilty of it. I'm not perfect. But as I sit back and as I self-assess, do my homework on myself and everything like that, I realize just listen. They'll tell you. You know what I mean? They'll tell you in their way. Okay, you just have to listen and pay attention to what the kid has to say. And I know it can be frustrating, and I know it can be uh, a lot. But if you sit back and really listen, a lot of times it's not all about words. Sometimes it's about body language. It's about action or whatever the case. It's about the action or whatever the case may be. As a parent, if you're in tune with your kid, you'll know what they actually need. And by me self-assessing myself, uh, critiquing myself, by me, talking, to mentors, uh, seeking, therapy sometimes, just to work on myself because I know with dealing with kids, I know dealing with, the stress and strain that's going to come. I have to take a self assessment of myself. I have to take accountability for myself, my actions, and how I proceed to go about doing things. I have to check myself in order to give the best results to the community. Okay. If I do the work within myself to make me a better person, then I can make the community a better place as a whole. And as I'm doing the work, it helps me to be calmer. It helps me to be more understanding. And then I can process what my kids actually need. Okay. So that's all I got. That's all I got to say for right now. Um, but they they will tell you. Okay. If we just simmer down and just take a time out and just pay attention, they'll tell you. Okay. So yeah. So if once this is off, whenever you look at it and you look at it in its entirety, I know you will. I know you will. But as you listen to it as an entirety, if you find some type of solution to what I was talking about today, or if you have a question or whatever the case may be, please don't hesitate to comment because this is the venting hour where we give free expression to come up with great solutions. Okay. Thank you for tuning in today. Thank you for chiming in. I'll see you next week, people. And once again, love you.